Okay guys, welcome back. My name is Isaiah Keen, and today we are talking about setting and achieving smaller goals inside of big goals. Recently, we've talked about trying to own and understand your strengths, knowing what your strengths are, and we've talked about negative self-talk, where the enemy, the devil, is trying to whisper and show you so loudly your flaws and your shortcomings that you can't ever get out of it. Or maybe they're not even true. Maybe they're just straight up lies. But either way, they keep you from being able to actually go and build those strengths because he's pointing out your weaknesses so much. And so today, we're going to talk about one of the ways we can avoid both of those and overcome both of those, as we've talked about in the last ones, and we're building up and we're talking about the small goals because we need to set smaller goals inside of our bigger goals when we want to actually achieve things in our life, because we all have goals. We all have something we want to achieve right now. What is it you're living for right now? Why are you watching this video right now? But what is it that you're trying to work on right now? So let's talk about this, because everyone has a big goal, the big calling, the big thing they're supposed to do with their life. And ultimately, that is glorify God. And that's to live a life focused on God and walking with God and showing other people God. That is like our main goal and our main calling. But he gives us lots of different things we can do in our time on earth. And he gives us lots of different things we can do throughout our lives that glorify him, show him, walk with him, and show him to other people. We all have the unique calling, and for men, we have very important callings too. Like, he does not just give us callings lightly. We're guys, we're men, we're tough, we're rugged. He made us to be like hit the dirt and crawl kind of guys and still live through it and make it through. That is the beauty of guys. Like, we can naturally just get back to places. We want to be in a place of healthy masculinity, biblical masculinity. We want this life for ourselves. Every single guy does. The problem is that sometimes we are influenced by outside things that end up breaking that in us, or we have a distorted view of it. But we always want to go back to it because we all yearn. Women have this too. We all yearn for perfection, whether we realize it or not. Callings are big things, and they can take a lot of time. Therefore, we need to set smaller goals inside of the big goals so that we can actually achieve the big goals. And I'll show you a couple reasons why and a couple things you can do that help you to go through along with this. Setting smaller goals helps us to break down the bigger goal and understand what goes into it. It actually helps us with the intricacies of the big goal, because we can say, I want to go do this. And then we can also pause for a second. And how do I get there? Like, I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I want to do this thing, but I don't know how. I don't know where I'm going with it. I don't understand the steps, and actually, I haven't thought this through to understand the steps that are going to get me to this place I want to be. And so by understanding what actually goes inside of it, we can say, okay, I have a roadmap. I have a destination. I've marked where I'm going to fill up for gas. I've marked where I'm going to eat and sleep on my journey here. We're going coast to coast, and I know exactly what route I'm going to take. So that's the first thing. It helps us to identify the steps along the way so that we even know what we're doing. Like, where's step one, start one. And number two, it helps us to actually see our progress. As we go along, as we continue doing these things, it helps us to see how far we've come. I remember years ago, I was in lectures for development and plasticity and all sorts of neurodevelopmental stuff. I love it, huge fan, and I've been through so much of this learning. But one of the things that they were talking about was the guy who I was learning from, and he was talking about when he went over, he went all over the world, all over these places to study different kids in all types of different cultures, cities, like small tribes. He went and lived with tribes. He lived in the Arctic for a while. He lived like Africa, but also places like Japan, all different places, to understand the consistencies between children as they develop in their younger years, in their beginning years. And one of the things that he said along the way was that he had a really long hike he had to go on. He was in one of these more like rural kind of areas where like there was nothing around, okay? This was wilderness. And he was hiking. It was him. It might have been in his army days even, but he was hiking from point A to point B. It was like they were trying to get to a mountain, and they were going and going like from one mountain to the other in a mountain range. And he was like, oh my gosh, we're not there. We're not close. It's been ages. And his friend was like, yeah, but look back. And he looks back and he's like, whoa, that mountain is really far away. We've come a really long way, man. Like, wow, what? I didn't even, because he wasn't looking back. He didn't see how far he had come. He was just focused on how far he still had to go. Hey, by the way, guys, I want to tell you real quick that I created a free PDF for you about 3 core traits to help you attract your dream girl. You know, we're guys of God, and we want girls of God too, right? So, by working on yourself with these 3 things that are super important, I've found and used them in relationships already, and I know it works, you too can attract the kind of girl you want from the God that you love. So go check that out, and now let's get back to the video. And so having smaller goals helps us to be able to look back and see, okay, I know what I was supposed to do. I know what I've done so far. And now I know what I do have left to do. And that's the other thing. Smaller goals help us to have more celebrations. They help us to be able to celebrate along the way. I mean, this is actually even biblically commanded that we are supposed to have celebrations and enjoy these smaller things in life and enjoy the little moments and the in-betweens, because God isn't a God of do this for me right now. No, he wants us to enjoy him. He made us because he wants the fellowship with us and the connection and the relationship. And he gives us the free will to be able to choose that for ourselves, because he doesn't just want a bunch of slaves or a bunch of dumb creatures who are just like blindly doing his will. He wants real connections with real people just like him. And so he gives us all of these abilities, and that's what he wants for us. And so he wants us to spend time enjoying and celebrating what we have done already, and on the road, going along and enjoying the journey too. That's the whole point of life, enjoying what we're doing as we're doing it for him. It then helps us to relax in God's plan for us, because it keeps in our present mind, here is what God is doing in my life. He's doing these things. This is what he's called me to do. And by having these micro goals, we have lots of time to be able to assess along the way. Here's where I am. Here's where I'm going. And this is what God has called me to do. So it allows us to relax in God's plan, keep our minds present on what we're supposed to do and enjoying our time, and it helps us to stay motivated. I've talked about motivation before, and motivation is interesting because it is not the same thing as dedication or consistency or discipline. Motivation goes straight up and then it comes right back down. And it's a fleeting feeling. Feelings come and go, and feelings are not always reality. I mean, hardly are they ever reality. There are a lot of things that feelings are good for, but they're not good for judging and making decisions. And when you have small goals, you can keep the motivation going kind of like this instead of just like this all the time, where it's up and down and it's crazy all over the place. So let's recap real quick. Having smaller goals allows you to see what it is you're supposed to be doing along the way to your bigger goal. It allows you to see how far you've come, and it allows you to enjoy the journey, the time that you're spending, enjoy God. I mean, it's amazing. Psalm 1 says, "Blessed is the one who delights in the law of the Lord." And I love Psalm 1. It's one of my favorites in the world. We need to have small goals to understand how we're going to get there, see how far we've come, and to enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and trust in God. And by the way, if you guys want to learn a little more about this and how you can set up your own masculine traits to be able to be a solid, firm foundation, to grow, to build your skills, to kill that negative self-talk, to have the smaller goals and have the consistency and the internal dedication and grit, then check out this free PDF below that I've made for you guys. It's 3 masculine traits to help you get your girl. And the crazy thing about this is that we're not focusing on the women. He is going to bring us our future wife, if that's our calling, if that's what we want, if that's what we know we have decided with him that our life is. And so, but by building these things, we can naturally attract the girl that we want, the strong, solid, godly woman into our lives that we desire as Christian men, because we are the Christian men that type of woman would want to marry. So go check that out, completely free. Stick your email in there in that link. I will email this thing to you, and I cannot wait to see you in there. And by the way, let me know what you guys would like to hear more about in the next videos and future videos right in the comments below. Go check out that link, and I will see you guys in the next video.